it was a group of 10 for Will's birthday again. And I paid last.
Yeah.
So I got everyone who couldn't be bothered paying for their little just a little addition.
Yeah.
Adds up for this guy. And that was pretty. I think I remember I was really trying to budget because I'm not working super consistently. And
you're not?
Well,
come on, you got an apartment.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Do you know how expensive a mortgage is?
Is your interest rates going up? You're the youngest person to care about interest rates, right?
Yeah. Oh no, I feel like I'm going through a midlife crisis stress. I don't know. I will say, I reckon I mentioned the cost of living crisis probably 7 times just in casual conversation.
Yeah.
And bloody my body, corporate fees and interest rates. And, But I think, and I'm so happy I have an asset, and I'm so appreciative.
With inflation.
Well, it's just, I don't know.
Inflation's killing this country.
It really bloody is. And as a first-hand member of this society, I can tell you, it's difficult living here. Difficult thriving in this kind of environment.
It's tough.
Well, it just is. And I think also what I've kind of been slapped in the face with a little bit is just working consistently from 13, and having not even stability really, but just that I knew that you had a contract here, and then I went to Home and Away, went to do Disney, and then I'm still writing, and it's awesome, but haven't done a gig in a while. And I think just with all performers, as you know, as soon as you don't do something for long, you feel you just get you don't feel fulfilled at all. And it is such, it's like an addiction when you're on stage or in front of something, and you just get that immediate feel of serotonin or feel of accomplishment or happiness and satisfaction that you just don't, I don't know. And I think because, again, I was so young and I had it so professional so young. I had all of the good shit really young, awesome jobs. Now it's not, kind of do a short film and I'm this feels good, but I know it's only a 3-day shoot and it's not, it's just hard. It's just hard trying to navigate going from that to being an adult. But, we're moving, and I'm really appreciative of the work that I am working on, and I know gigs will come as well. It's not I'm sure there will be more films in my lifetime. I'm not giving up. So.
When you achieve success as a child, right? A lot of people growing up, they want to be actors or actresses when they're older. One day I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be an astronaut, I'm going to be a comedian. People want to be things when they're older. So when you're a child star and you have that success early, does it feel weird achieving an adult dream as a child?
No, and I think that was just because I was so determined. And I talk a lot about my family being in the industry, and as much as that taught me, so many things that was so helpful to assist me being so professional so young, or being able to handle myself in those environments because I had family that was in the business. Additionally to that, it was normalized to me that it was achievable. Okay. And also I was such a determined kid. I was a bit scary as a child. Everyone's always
Would you have liked yourself if you met 10-year-old Olivia Deeble?
I feel at this phase where I don't hang around a lot of children at the moment. My cousins are all a little bit older. And I guess I'm hanging out with people my age or within this 10-year bracket of 20 to 30. I haven't hung out with a child in a while, and when kids do get too much, at the point I'm at now, I love children. I have all the time in the world with them. I'll play with them consistently. But if it's a kid I don't know now and I don't have any connection to them, it being a friend's family member or my own family member, and they're really annoying, I'm going to be okay, let's just all fucking chill out, shall we?
I helped out at a friend's younger brother's athletics day, and that I was on the discus. And so I was managing the 10-year-old kids on the discus.
Wow.
It was fun, but
it's a lot. I think you've got to have, I guess it's just, you forget how much energy you need to have with kids.
I got badly sunburnt.
A little bit red on the nose. I put my blush there though, so I thought we were matching. Because that was both a makeup intention. We decided to match today. I've also both got a little bit of a fringe.
Yeah?
You should cut a bowl cut, I reckon.
Nah, bowl cut wouldn't suit me.
I think it would, and I think you should. You should. I feel like everyone should get bangs regardless of. I actually don't believe that. And it wasn't even funny to say. It's not true. I think you should keep your hair. Don't do anything on my account.
I'm trying to get my hair's gone longer. I reckon since you saw me, I'm just going longer mullet, and then it's just going up, and then it gets blonde tips in it. Do you reckon you'll do a
really disgusting mullet once more?
No, I don't think so.
It's kind of gone out of trend, actually.
Yes. I think so, but I kind of always just accidentally had a mullet as a kid. Like it was just my hair was short
I feel
at
like
the front.
most Australian kids, it naturally grows that way.
Yeah, it's something in the air where you're just producing these horrific mullets.
And it's only growing, for party, business and party.
I lost it though. I remember when I first moved from Geelong to Melbourne, I reckon like people have these experiences where like
That's
the bogan
that's just a funny sentence in itself. I lost my mullet when I went from Geelong to Melbourne, for sure.
But like my spiritual mullet, I think was gone because I went to first ever time 18 out of the bar, and I went to the bar and I said, "Can I get a Jaeger bomb?" And then
from the movies.
Yes. Yeah. Can I get a Jaeger bomb? Like I see like what LMFAO would do or something. And then so I said,
glad you had your inspiration set in across for you and how you were going to live your legal years.
And she was cool. She was like 25 and she looked me in the eye and she said, "No, Jaeger bombs are for fuckheads." That was the first time I ever ordered a drink at a bar.
Have you ordered a Jaeger bomb since?
No.
Good.
That's what I mean. It killed the spiritual bogan in me. And I started reading books. And,
I had a Jaeger bomb and I never knew what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. And then I had it and it's actually okay. I'm not gonna shit. I feel like there are other drinks out there. But it was a weird experience. And especially because I was everyone else was like, "Oh my God, Jaeger bombs, we haven't had this in ages." I was like, "Oh."
What, you were pretending?
Yeah, I was like, why are there 2 drinks in this?
I'll pretend to do what the peasantry does.
Well, a lot of times either that or when I like have gone out to like a fancy dinner. But the first time when I was doing oysters, I didn't know how to eat an oyster. Like I didn't know the spoon, so you kind of just pretending looking at everyone.
Yes. Don't you just kind of like flip it and suck it down?
Yeah, and now I know that, and I'm the expert.
It's like a raw egg.
I can tell you lots about oysters, and it's like one of my favorite meals. But at the point, I like put it in. I didn't. It was really awkward. I was like at a work dinner, and they were like, "That's not how you do that, Olivia."
Has the cost of living affected your oyster intake?
Yes, it absolutely has affected my oyster intake. Except there's a little bar in Fitzroy that does them for $2.
Okay.
So I've been doing that a lot. But that's a trek from where I live, so I'm hour commute for oysters. But I was at an event recently, the Avatar event.
What?
Yeah.
You're doing some pretty cool stuff.
I think I'm just lucky I'm still on their emailing list.
Nice.
Honestly, I feel like I got in young.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't even say I'm that current. Would you? I don't feel like I'm up and popping.
I would say so. I mean, you're very big on TikTok. All right, I see your TikToks.
Am I?
Yes, you're doing very well.
Yeah, I just wanted that subtle thing.
You had the Paramount Plus series, which did really well.
Sorry, I am. I feel like I've got some accolades, but I think just currently in the influencer world of like, do you know what I'm saying? Of like who you're following to know which events to go to or what to watch. I feel like I'm probably not in that demographic as much anymore as I used to be.
You could push it hard.
But I still get invited. I'm still going. And I'm having a great time. And in fact, it's helped my cost of living because they're free little activities I get to go to. And I'm so appreciative and they're fully immersive. But getting back to the Avatar one,
yes,
they had oyster shacklers there.
It was for Avatar 2?
Yeah. They had oyster shacklers.
Were they blue?
The people or
the oysters? That would have been a cool touch.
That would have been a really cool touch. It wasn't. But they had just like a little bucket on their hip and they'd like pull out the oyster, shackle it, and give it to you.
That's pretty cool.
It was really cool. And I ate like 4. And I remember I like cornered the woman and I wouldn't let her leave because like she was like, I've got places to be.
Yeah.
But I kept asking her questions about her job. And then at one point I was like, "Oh, can I take a picture of you?" She was like, "Everyone always is taking pictures of me." I was like, yeah, but are you okay if I do? And she was like, "Actually, no, I'd prefer if you didn't." I was like, oh my gosh, of course. Okay. She was like, "Yeah, sorry, no one's asked me that. I just didn't. I don't want to be taking pictures of us." I was like, wow.
That's tough for the oyster lady if she's bringing out oysters.
What does society come to? The oyster lady shacklers cannot shackle in peace. God damn it.
I think, since the cost of living crisis, I haven't paid for a drink in a long time because at a comedy gig, you just get free drinks.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be the last one at the bar, like the audience is gone, the comedians are gone, and it's just me and the bartender. And of course,
and you get a free, do you reckon you get them more if you bomb or if you do well? Like, is there a sympathy drink or is there a success drink?
If I bomb, I leave the venue before the show's done. I'm like, I'm not making eye contact with anyone in that audience. I can see you doing I'm on the street and the show's going upstairs. What's
the worst bombing you've had?
There's been some pretty horrific ones. But every comedian has horrific bomb stories.
Tell me one.
Okay, I had one where I was on like a really good lineup. Whereas like the GOATs, Dave Hughes, Will Anderson, I think Judith Lucy was on. And I was like, finally. I'm in the big dogs. I'm in the green room. I'm doing really well in the green room. Like and they're laughing. They're like, this is the young one. He's making us laugh.
Funny. He's bubbly.
He's killing in the green room. I'm like, I'm killing in the green room. It'll translate to on stage. I think this is in Sydney.
Where were you in the set?
I think I was kind of like midway, which is the best spot possibly in that.
It is.
It's really good.
Fumbled this. I'm really excited to hear.
I went on stage and immediately, like the audience was almost in paralysis. Like I couldn't say anything funny, and I just saw the goats at the back watching me.
Do you think it was the vibe? Like it was the audience? Then they just weren't.
Yeah, I blame the audience completely for that. The other guys killed, but I think I tell you what it was. They were an older crowd and they loved those dudes.
It's also it's really hard to compete when there's classic. I was talking about this a lot, like with interesting discourse I'd like to get on with you anyway, but about like comedians getting cancelled for saying insensitive things.
It's coming.
But there's this thing also of like, I don't know, yeah, I'm gonna drop some, I've got to go crazy. I don't say anything. No, but just that like, you've got to, I feel like, I can understand it would be hard, especially if you're with goats who are familiar to that, especially with like radio people too, who just, they're used to hearing that kind of humor. You as a young...
The Triple M boys.
Right. You as a young comedian, you can't make the same jokes as them because you don't have the platform or recognition or like there's no knowledge of your humor in that way. So you don't have the safety net to fall back on. But you also can't be making crazy offensive jokes because again, you're a young man of this generation. And so I feel like there's a really hard strong suit unless you're like an older guy of a generation who can make the kind of gross jokes and it's okay because there's a fan base for it.
True.
And then there's also this young, I don't know, I would be on the podcast if I thought you were this kind of comedian, but you have to be clever, you have to be funny. And I imagine that would be even doubly hard if you're in like a set audience where there's already those kind of jokes. I'm not accusing anyone on that set list of any kind of behaviors that I had just aforementioned. And I want to make that clear.
This is a place.
I can sympathize that it would be difficult if you're going into like a different audience space.
But then I think I had a gig later that night and I had a really good set. So it's almost just
completely
like
the audience's fault.
You're in the ocean. I don't know. It's almost just the atmosphere.
That's true. And it can be, sometimes I like this with acting too. Like I get on stage and I'm like, oh, tonight's going to be a really bad night. Okay, that's just, someone else has decided that for me. That's just what it is.
It's almost the comedy gods or something just anoint thee. Like one time I didn't even know I was getting up and they're like, someone dropped out, can you get up? This is when I was in Sydney. I was like, yeah, I'll get on. I just did not look at anything, didn't look at any notes, just went on stage, had the best time ever. And if I over-prepare where I'm looking at, all right, premise, punchline, then it's always a bomb because they're like, this guy's thinking about jokes in his head before he performs them.
Because I'm really interested around like what your method is then. Because when I was preparing, I was cleaning my teeth this morning and I was like, I've always wanted to do stand-up comedy.
Yes, you said that last time.
I really
It's been a year. When are you going to jump in the game?
I don't fucking know. It's a faraway dream. But I feel like, I also feel like I fall into that difficult thing of I am scared that people would judge me.
Yes.
And I'm not in a way of like, I feel like I don't have shame around like my behaviors or actions, and I have a lot of stories, but like I think what I really enjoy about being an actor opposed to a comedian or a singer or something like that, people don't actually get to have opinions on who I am, and I think I said this last time as well. People just know the roles that I'm doing or my social media and what I decide to put out on social media or in the select podcasts that I'm on. So I am able to really control the narrative of what people think about me. And absolutely, I have some great stories to tell and I would really like to go into comedy, but I really like that and going into adult life now, there's still a degree of separation from me and the outside world. And I feel like I would be putting myself in very vulnerably. And I actually just don't know how I would react with that. Because, I think I make you laugh.
Yes,
you've heard some of my stories. I feel like I do all right, but I think it would completely, it would just take away that area of mystique or like separation that I have tried to place. Or maybe it won't, I don't know.
I noticed that there are often like people who are big on TikTok and content creators. And this is in a different world to you.
TikTok is just raw honesty, and that's what people connect with. It's the being able to relate, or the crazy personal stories and trauma dumping, which I'm not. I'm a huge consumer of TikTok, and I really think I watch a lot of videos like that. But I don't know. I think it's so interesting how open people are and willing to say and to just tell stories. I think it's really nice, but it's also really scary because you do put it out publicly, everyone can see it. And like, there's all these, like I've watched a video of a girl shitting herself and she like posted it. And listen, kudos to her.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's amazing that you like are so set in yourself that you were comfortable enough to post that. Good for you.
What was the context though? I imagine it wasn't just...
She was visiting her friend in hospital and then she was lactose intolerant or something and then shit herself.
It's got a narrative to it. It's not just like a random...
No, yeah, that's true. There was layers and complications to it. But she told the story and I was like, damn, that's wild. And then she attached a video.
That's a big narrative thing, but that's very TikTok-esque, I feel like.
That's what I'm saying though. But like then surely if you then got some medial clout over that, is that just not the girl who pooed herself in the hospital?
Yes.
And then you wouldn't, I mean, I don't know, maybe that is then all of like, if that's the trajectory of fame that then you want or your acknowledgement around that. But I don't know, I think TikTok or...
I get stitched sometimes, like where someone will make a stitch out of my video. Like I try not to scroll on TikTok, but one time it was actually one time, it was like 2 days ago, I was scrolling down TikTok and I see my face there. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't remember posting this video. And then someone just comes in and goes, actually. You're like, this is 100,000 views.
Yeah, oh God.
The stitch notification is always like, I'm about to get educated.
Do you get stitched a lot?
Sometimes. But it's never bad. It's always like building on what I've said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's never like, it's more like I'm building on this and this. Like this guy was like, actually in Australia, there is a lot of political crime and this story happened. And he had this like true crime story about someone and something. And I was like, this is actually really interesting. I prefer if my face wasn't like the predicating.
Yeah, the face. I also feel like that because it's quick editing too.
Yes.
It's really misleading.
Yeah,
sometimes you'll start a video and you'll be like, oh, we're in a completely different place. But circling back.
Yes.
How do then you feel like as a comedian and the joke, like I'd say you tell some personal stuff or you're pretty open though.
Yeah.
How is that? And then like, how do you guess you feel then having that, like it is a pretty intimate relationship with the audience too, because you also like put all your trust into them then reacting off these vulnerable moments.
Yeah. It's good for you, I reckon, because it's humbling. Like sometimes you see big content creators and they try and do stand up and they do like 2 gigs and they're like, I'm getting the fuck out of this situation because they don't have as much control over it.
Absolutely.
You really are super exposed and you're going to have good sets and bad sets and a lot of people can't take that.
I don't fear that though.
Okay.
Because I think I've been,
Bombing is a pretty like, it's not like anything else.
But I used to audition for music theatre as a child.
Yes.
And
I reckon it's different.
Okay, all right. Well,
because musical theatre, you're sitting like Les Mis, like.
No, but if they tell you you're too fat as a kid, that sticks with you.
Yes, that's big. Like they said that to your face.
Yeah, I tried to get into like a or not for music theatre, but like definitely dancing and stuff, and them really telling you you're too big or too.
Damn.
Sticks with you, but I guess like or even like doing performances and plays, but I guess that is different too. It's not like that, but that's what I'm saying though, because I'm playing a character, I don't feel as stressed about like.
Yes, it's not like Olivia Deeble being 100% and your viewpoints.
Do funny, about your viewpoints, but I guess I can feel like maybe I take that back. Maybe bombing is really really awful.
Well, your grandpa was a comic.
Yeah, vaudevillian comic though, which is again different because he would do like a lot of slapstick.
Yes,
stuff.
Because there's a vaudevillian theatre in the city now where like sometimes they'll book comedians. There'll be like 2 comedians on, and there'll be like a burlesque dancer. There'll be a singer. It's like the 20s in there.
Yeah.
Pretty fun. So your granddad was like doing that back in the day.
Yeah, he was huge with it, and he started out with like music theatre with my grandmother, and they really like. They did everything. Like she was like in the original Chicago.
Yeah.
He was in the original Much Ado About Business without even really trying. Like they're really big fundamental like music theatre and artist performers. And then he went in to get his own, like worked with some of the great like old comics and then had like double acts and got his own stuff up and then went on to do the Sullivans. But a lot of my own kind of I felt like his slapstick comedy taught me a lot about my own funniness, and I feel like I'm a very physical person in general and a physical character, and just that movement is so impactful to humor as well, and making faces or being expressive is going to enhance the point that you want, and I think that was really viable. And I would love to get into comedy. It is something interesting. I think I just have an ego separation, and I just also like. I don't know, I guess in this era of cancel culture or people just being able to shit on you and make a video and then leave it without being able to further explain points. I think I just am really apprehensive because I consume so much TikTok and so much media. I think I'm really apprehensive of people just like, I don't know, shitting on me and me not being able to deal with it, or just saying something mean to me that I don't think is warranted.
Totally,
I
yeah.
I've really tried to make an active effort. I don't want to be a really loud person on social media. I will talk about the things I believe in. I will repost my stances on things. If I want to talk about things that are important to me, I absolutely will. But I will not just like comment on general discourse or if people are, getting cancelled currently. I will never like put my 2 cents worth in there. Just because the internet is a really angry place, and me putting in my 2 cents worth could piss off someone so much that they might say something horrible to me that then will knock me out of skew for a couple of weeks.
You feel anxious for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I don't know, being online is really scary.
Yeah, it is scary in a way.
People are mean. People are really mean.
Yeah. But people get cancelled on TikTok daily. Like there's always someone.
I don't either want to participate in the cancelling. Yeah. Do you remember that guy? I was really recent, and I don't know if this is going out. What's his name? Philip. I'm sorry to all the bloody women. Sorry.
That's an interesting one because I don't think that guy was a comedian or a content creator. He just put out a wild video.
No, I don't think he is either. But my point more so is like.
I thought that was satire when I first saw it.
Me too. And I didn't, even though that's really right up my alley because I'm a little raging feminist.
Yes.
Good for me. Me believing in my stuff, having a voice for women. Good for me. When I first saw it, but then I saw a fucking video of him later on someone else's account, but because I was in the algorithm at that point, on someone else's account, and he was like, yeah, all the fucking idiot women like fighting against each other because I repeated apology and all these bitches are eating it up. And I was like, nah, fuck you. And I wrote a little roast and I got lots of likes and I was really proud of myself. And then I said, perhaps you should get some perspective and insight before you give yourself phone privileges again, little man.
Wow, I got so little man. Likes.
Little man.
Damn.
So moments like that, I think it's important. But people are just mean for no reason. And I'm scared, like, if I was to say, like, a funny story and then everyone was like, that's so fucking weird, you couldn't fucking pay me to say that on the internet, I'd be like...
Yeah. But were you worried when you commented on that guy's video, right? And the likes are going, were you worried that he would reply to that? Because that's something that then it's out of your control. He's got it again. And if that gets lots of likes and then you get directed to.
Social media is such a wildfire. You need to just really be like, is it worth me commenting this thing? Because after I commented on it, you have absolutely no control over what anyone else is going to do.
Yes.
I remember once I commented on a video saying I audibly giggled. That was my comment.
Yeah. Too far.
Because I think that's a funny thing to say.
Yeah.
It was the most liked comment. Everyone was like, this is such a fucking stupid thing to say, opposed to what? Silently giggling? I was so embarrassed.
Really?
But at that point, well, because I'm just like, I don't know. I think I like to think I'm really smart and always like on the ball or like
on the cultural pulse.
I'm with it. I'm on the And everyone was just like opposed to, but this is what I'm saying about TikTok. People were overly mean.
Yes.
People were like, you're a fucking idiot for saying this.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. I guess I'll just never express my joy for a video again.
Yeah.
Like, I think it ruins I get scared. I want to comment and be like, say something funny too. And then if someone's like, shut up, you idiot.
But that's something to say for, and I spoke to Tom Mallard about this, where like I feel like you've been within institutions, like in Home and Away, and then a little lunch, and even with Paramount Plus. I feel like if you're in those institutions, then you're almost protected a little bit. Whereas if you're just a content creator,
absolutely,
who's making that, then you're like,
absolutely. And I don't like I
chuck a publicist in between you and the hate.
Well, I think that's also really, really why, because I have always been like, I was a publicist baby too.
Yes.
Like, I had my press, I had my team.
Yes, let them take the hits. You weren't, but as a 13-year-old, I imagine you weren't commenting on the world events.
Yeah, no, I was I was fighting everyone. No, like I think I also was really lucky. My team knew that I've always been a very vocal person, but yeah, I think that is a really good comment to make, is that I think there also is this big separation between, like, especially mainstream TV like ABC and Channel 7 and Disney. There is a lot more control to the narrative, and especially again when you're playing a part, you actually can't just be yourself online if you've got a role. Most of the time, I feel like it's changing now, but there's expectations that are set, and like also if it doesn't align with the TV's show policy or like it's not online with them, you've got to be really aware of your post. So I think I have always had to like either run it through someone if it's a brand deal, or make sure we're not upsetting anyone, and I've always had to be really aware of what I've posted. I guess now that it doesn't matter as much anymore, or with this massive insurgence of TikTok and fame actually coming about for saying too much or for saying the most, has been, I guess it's been interesting. But I don't know. I think I'm still probably gonna. I like the mystique, but maybe I don't know. Well, I don't know. Put me on for one of your first sets, and I'll bomb really hard in front of you, and then we can like set up. This is the beginning, guys. You're gonna see the start of us. We'll become like a slapstick comedy duo. So you'll be like trying to tell jokes, and like I'll just be doing like slapstick comedy behind you.
I feel very I
It'll
can't.
be really disarming.
I'm not a good actor, so like if I go on as a double, like at Comedy Republic, me and my friend Dan Rosario, they're putting
what
on
do you
us
do
at
in
a
the
double.
improv sessions? If you're like, you know, where you've got to do like.
Oh, if I'm doing crowd work and it's me in the
happen.
crowd, it's fine. But if it's and sometimes doing those shows, it's fine. But if it's me and another person, we the ship goes down. And so if you guys want to see us go down, we're going down Comedy Republic next Wednesday. The ship's going to absolutely sink.
You should only go to his bad gigs. Never support his good ones. He's too confident.
If someone sees you bomb on stage and they still love you or like you as a friend, I think they're the true people. Like if someone can watch you on stage with a mic bombing, the crowd hating you, I really think it's like an evolutionary thing where you're seeing someone get cast out of the tribe.
I think it's sympathy of like, oh, mate. Like you've wanted this for a while.
I had a friend, very young comedian. He was like 18, really good. Like, everyone's gonna be really good. And he brought his girlfriend to the gig. It was really cute. But he was telling me, he's like, I'm so nervous. He's like, do you reckon it's an ick if I bomb on stage in front of her, in front of these 50 people? Yeah. And I was like, if she still loves you, then she still loves you. You know?
Did she break up with him that night? Imagine. Oh my God! Imagine. She was like, this is my egg.
Yeah. This is seeing you bomb on stage. But it's inevitably going to happen. If you're in stand-up, you're going to bomb. So you kind of just got to...
I feel like you can compare bombing to anything in any...
Can you bomb as an actor? Like, what does that look like? Like, have you done stage things? Or have you ever been on, like, when you're on Home and Away or when you're doing Paramount Plus, did the director ever stop and go, this is...
Yeah, director called me a plank of wood once. Damn. When I was 13.
Far out.
He was one of those like male directors who was like, you know, you say mean things to make him work harder. But like,
he was a tough nugget.
I don't know. I think I was probably like had just started my period and was like a 13-year-old girl.
Yes.
Just be nice to me. Like I was a really hardworking actor, and if you just said I want it more like this, I was gonna make that change for you.
Yeah.
But he would like. He was so tall too. He's like such a tall man. He kind of looked like Professor Snape. He had like this really like long nose. I vividly remember that. And yeah, I think he behaved the same. He wasn't like circling in on me, but I remember once I was acting and he'd walk off and like look at me and he'd be like, again. And he'd be like, you're a plank of wood. Like, you're not good. Wow. You're not going to be a good actor. I don't believe anything you're doing. And he would make me like do it again and again and again. And then I would just burst into tears because I was just this like...
I would weep as well.
Like I just, I don't know, you try. And especially because you're doing such a lot. I was trying so hard. Yeah, and then I remember I told someone about it, and then he came up to me, and he was just like, I'm just trying to make you better. Don't be such a sook.
This sounds like the film Whiplash.
Yeah, I was living Whiplash. He's now dead.
Who?
The director.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Complicated things to sit with, especially when it's just like a direct.
Yes.
And I remember when I told him, I was like, oh, no. And then I haven't, like, I don't know, just weird. I think I'm going to repeat that sentence again because I think I meant it to be funny to say that he was dead.
That's bombing. I wanted to show you what it's like.
That's a key example. That bully's dead now.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's, I guess, karma.
So we should never do a duo comedy slap.
No, we go down. No. We go down south, yeah. If I'm like...
because you're too selfish? You just like need too much time?
I've done like an improv stuff before where they're like, Ferg, come and do this improv show. We want a stand-up comedian on. It was like 7 people on stage. And I was on stage. I'm like, this feels so...
Especially
awkward.
if you know your own area and know what works for you now.
Because I don't know how to react because one of them was like, I'm a whale and you're a killer whale. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I can't be a killer. And I could say... That's why improv feels a bit more like nerdier than stand-up feels kind of maybe more cool. Is that... So I just feel like sometimes like
I fucking love improvisation.
I can't do improv where
I love it so much.
When I was in America, they love because when I was
what's the whole thing?
Like Friday night at the college.
Because the Americans can talk on their feet.
Yes. They were really good at it, actually, Americans, where they were like, you're Biden and I'm Trump. And they go into like a full dialogue that was pretty accurate.
Yeah. I really enjoy can't remember what their names are called. They're two American comedians. They're super famous, and I really should know, but we'll keep them up. We won't give them the satisfaction of,
but they're a good double.
Yeah, but they just pick an audience member. The audience member.
Yeah, I've seen this on Netflix
ask
before.
them a scenario, and then they just do an entire fucking skit about it.
It's impressive.
Incredible.
It's very impressive.
I'd love to do that, and I think if improv is the niche.
I think you could do that. You could put on like a one-woman show, Olivia Deeble, live for one night only.
And then just ask people questions and then make up and
improvise 60 minutes. Work out 10 minutes in, you're in serious trouble.
That'd be so rough.
When you were on Little Lunch and then coming up, is it weird when people know you before they actually know you? Like, did you ever have like, hey, how you doing? And they're like, oh, you're Olivia Deeble. Like, I used to watch you on Little Lunch. Is that odd? Like, do you push back from people?
Depends. I guess it depends on how I'm approached and also the reaction. I remember when I met... Sorry. When I met my partner... he didn't know, but his friend did. And I was like, oh, hi. And we were chatting. And then his friend was like, no way. Like, you're Tamara. Like, I had the biggest crush on you. Actually, that's, okay, a lot of, everyone says they had a crush on Tamara.
Yes.
That's always a little bit awkward.
Yeah. I missed the show.
Just because I also then like, I don't know, because I was like 12 and we're all now like 20 and you're like, I wanted to, you know, you were my first like wet dream was about you, bro. And I'm like, thank you.
People come up to you and say that you were their wet dream.
I was their first wet dream once.
Did you know the person, or was it like a stranger on the street?
Like it's always just like at a party or like maybe at like a bar or just I don't know, out.
That's a strong leap forward to start a conversation.
A lot of it, that's the weird thing. It's always like, oh my gosh, the people who knew me from Home and Away say I'm a good actor. The people who say they knew me from Little Lunch, everyone was just like, oh my gosh, you were so hot, you were so sexy. I mean, like, and I do appreciate it, and I love that, like, I had that impact on Australian children. Yeah, I feel fucking incredible. But it is also a little bit awkward because I don't know what to say to you because I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to make, like, your childhood sexual fantasies come true. Like, I'm not going to kiss you, so I don't know what we're getting out of this. But anyways, this guy was like, oh my God, I love you so much. Like, oh, wow, like, you're my crush. And I was like, looking to my boyfriend, I was like, yeah. Big deal around these streets.
But he hadn't seen Little Lunch.
No, he didn't give a shit. He was like, I mean, I guess.
Did he pretend to be unfazed? Because I would have been rattled by that if I was talking to someone.
Yeah, he fully pretended to be unfazed. He was just like, oh, that's cool. And then, I was like, oh my gosh.
Is he still
I need to impress him. Yeah, so he actually doesn't acknowledge me at all. I think he's my boyfriend. I'm just following him around. He actually doesn't know who I am. Is
he still unfazed by things you do? Like if you like doing cool stuff? And I think since I last saw you,
that was pretty early on when we first did our
Yes. But that was also when you were about to go to America, I think, and like a lot of your reviews were about like how good your writing was. I remember that because last pod we didn't really speak about your writing, we spoke your like acting. Yeah, and then all the reviews were like Olivia Deeble, seminal piece of writing, and I was like, damn, Liv's becoming an established writer.
I know. It's crazy. It's so, and I didn't.
You metamorphosized.
I really did, and I don't think anyone saw it coming. And I predicted it. It's been awesome. You predicted it from the first time we met.
She's a good writer.
You were like this dyslexic.
You told me you couldn't read, so that was maybe.
I would love to start the lie that I like. You know that Lisa Michelle. That's not her name. Yes. Shorty playing in Funny Man. She's illiterate. Okay. What's her name from Glee? Leah Michelle. Yeah. Leah Michelle. Yeah. You still don't know the reference, do you?
I remember Leah. She was dating Puckerman.
Sure.
Or
maybe you know more information about it than I do. Anyways, there's just this joke going around that she's illiterate. I would love the idea that like I become like this really big time writer and I just talk and at all times like someone is following me just with like this little microphone or like it's just like this little computer that types up everything I says.
Yeah.
I am illiterate and I can't write.
So you don't read books, say?
No.
Really? When was the last time I'm not trying to embarrass you. When was the last time you flicked through a novel?
When I was 10.
Far
no,
out.
No, that's not
You read scripts though.
No. And I also do read. Let's set the fucking story straight. Hang on. I prefer audiobooks. So I listen to a lot of audiobooks and do a lot of reading like that. But my eyes hurt. Like I actually don't get comfort.
What?
Because I have trouble.
So it's a physical thing. It's not even.
No, and it's also phonetic. So Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to explain my dyslexia to you.
All right. I'm here to learn.
That's all good. Well, I'm here to teach. I'm here to teach and talk, not reading.
I think it would just be a cool narrative if we could propagate it. You're a
That I've
brilliant
never read a
writer
book
who
before.
can't read. I think that's something
Who can't
that
read nor, and I think it's important that I've like never picked up a pencil either. It's
Yes.
just my words. Like I've just spoken the word of God.
there was a guy in one of my uni classes, genius. He was blind and he would write his essays by speaking the essays into like a voice
That's what
translator.
I'm saying. I want one of those. But now that you've told this story, and I feel
Excuse
like
me.
there are really inspiring people, I should set it straight. I can read, I can write, I just have dyslexia.
Yes.
And so with the two things that I have that like really affect me with my dyslexia.
Yeah.
First of all is with the hearing. I have trouble differentiating the two phonetics with vowels. So you have long and short vowels which make the sounds of words. So A, E, I, O, U,
Yeah.
E, O, U. Which is the shortened ones,
Yeah.
like the shortened vowels.
Yes.
I couldn't differentiate them, so I wouldn't know how to spell things because
Yeah.
I couldn't understand that the two, like saying it, like saying a longer vowel or a shorter vowel then changes it.
Yes.
But because I could hear and like repeat the sounds, always been really eloquently spoken, but didn't understand how you would spell the sounds. And then on top of that, with reading, my eyes go too quickly before I'm processing. So I tend just to jump pages or jump words, or I'm reading the same again and again. So I'm not actually getting the story.
Okay.
So if I see something written down, I remember a date. If you tell me Wednesday we're going to do this, I'm much better at remembering because it's a visual thing. Like I'm such a visual person. I can see myself doing the thing when I hear you talk about it opposed to me reading it.
So when I like sent you the number code for this apartment block, was that just like letters jumbled up?
That was so ridiculous. I cannot believe, like I still think that you're fucking with me that is the code too.
It's pretty low
like
code.
10 numbers.
It's 10 numbers to get into the building. We want to be safe and secure in this apartment block.
That's so silly. But that's just like, so do you know that off by heart?
No. I have it on my phone.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying.
That is so annoying.
No one's ever got the code right.
Exactly. So, okay, cool. I thought you were just like using that with everyone. People would just get, excuse me.
Flustered downstairs.
Yeah, people would just, as soon as you sent it to me, I was like, nah, there's no bloody way. And then when I saw that it was like a complicated complex, I was like, he has to come find me. I'm not searching anymore. I stood out the front of the library for a little bit and I was like, nah, screw this. I'm sticking around. I feel like we were saying something.
You're talking about dyslexia and how
about
sometimes you'll
dyslexia.
skip lines and it's hard to process the stories.
Yeah. Good listening. Maybe you're dyslexic too. I struggle with that, but after you just told that story about your really intelligent person you knew who was blind, I want to set it straight. I do know how to write, but I have a lot of spelling mistakes. And it's just that I think I did surpass that though with my writing, and because I don't know, I guess I have things to say and people are wanting to hear my work. It's pretty easy to use, like I use Write a Duet and it has like good correction.
Okay.
And then like, you always are having someone read it. So I'll tend to just like get either a family member to read it or the script, or if it's when I'm being employed to write something with someone I know, I'll read it to them and be like, I have dyslexia, that like this is not like sloppy work. This is just that my brain doesn't. So like I always will have like some stuff wrong in my scripts, but like by the 6th draft, so many people have looked over and corrected it that it's fine by the end goal. So yeah, but writing has been really interesting. I think when I started before, I was saying I hadn't worked heaps. And it's just a lot of working from home, like writing or going, like I go to a cafe or the library or I'm working from my house. And that's just really weird because my routine is I'm used to like working insane hours and then having to go on set or do makeup and wardrobe and things like that. So it's been tricky, and it's such a completely different type of work in this weird way. And I have to motivate myself to like, get out of my pajamas, have a shower, try and go somewhere to do the work, or else I'm just sitting in my bed all day.
Yeah.
And that's been really tricky. Because I've never worked like that before. Like, with, as I continue to say, acting is such a different, like, field. Just sitting and just being and no one having to check on you or maneuver you or not having to move in the same spot just because I'm writing.
You with your own thoughts.
So with my own thoughts, and on top of that, I've got lovely little ADHD. So my procrastination.
Everybody's got ADHD now.
Everybody's got ADHD now.
How do I know if I have it? Like what will happen to me?
You'll die. You will die. I don't know when.
Did you have ADHD last time I spoke with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had ADHD. ADHD has been a thing for me for a while. I was pretty fucking weird kid. Like, wild, crazy kid.
My brother had ADHD.
What happened to him? He was cured?
I don't know. I think there is something that when you're a kid, you can pass through incarnations, and sometimes incarnations, like it'll dissipate.
Yeah. Because you grow out of it because you learn to adapt to the world that you're around.
Or you're in a job, like he's in a job that's pretty high pace, and he's constantly stimulated. I think he doesn't really require sitting down and concentrating for a sustained period of time.
I found it, I don't know, I think that is super right. And I think with acting, again, because it was so high focus as a kid, I actually didn't, everyone knew I had ADHD, but I didn't actually have a problem with it when I was younger because I was getting so much stimulation from doing this thing that just filled me with so much happiness.
Yes.
And was such taxing work.
You're on set every day.
Yeah, it was
You're in
hard.
Summer Bay.
Yeah. Running along the beach, doing my little thing. Bloody Raffy getting kidnapped or, I don't know, falling, whatever she was doing. Or crying.
Would you ever go back if they said, "Hey, Liv, we want you to come back to Summer Bay. We've got a cool."
I don't know. Maybe. I think it would just depend on where. I haven't been asked.
Yeah.
It would also depend on for how long.
Yeah.
Too. But I don't. They haven't approached me, and I would also need to know what the storyline was and all that jazz. But
when you finished it feel like when you graduate high school and the next day you're just sitting and you're like, "Whoa, what do I do now?"
It was a bit scary because it was my life for 3 years and then it just wasn't. But I also feel like because I went to America to do the Disney movie pretty succinctly after, it was just okay, on to the next one.
Yeah.
And then we went into lockdown, which I think just shook everyone.
Yes.
But no, I've been ADHD for a while, and I have real trouble with the concept of time in general. If I need to be somewhere, I don't realize that travel will take me time. Still, so I really have to sit. But I've got a little ADHD coach. It's really cute. We meet once a week, and she gives me.
What does an ADHD coach do?
She coaches me on doing regular everyday things.
So you go to an office and you sit down with her.
We Zoom it, and I just tell her about things, and she I don't know. She gives me helpful insight on people with ADHD to dieting all the way to I have to write my weeks out with her. She's my little weekly planner.
Yeah.
So she'll be all right, what do you have to do this week? And we talk about it and plan it out, and that's been really helpful.
Is ADHD something you're born with, or can it be induced by certain events? Because I
actually don't know. I was definitely born with it. I know it dissipates over. It can dissipate when you get older as well, because that's what we thought happened to me for a little bit. But just because I was working so intensely, and then when I stopped working, so really hard. And also just my procrastination is fucking crazy. It's insane. It's insane the way you talk yourself out of it. And it's really frustrating. But I think now I feel I don't know, I guess just this year turning 20 and realizing just become out of my teens and owning property and stuff like that. I've really tried to make an active effort to try and better myself, or at least have to function in. I think I got smacked in the face with capitalism this year, and that we are in this really, it's a difficult world that we live in, and it's not enough for me to say, ugh, I have ADHD and dyslexia and life's really shit for me, or life's really difficult for me. If I ever want to grow or try and be better and make sure that I'm doing the best at my jobs and taking opportunities and, I don't know, investing or saving my money and making sure that I'm set up, and perhaps if I ever want kids, I'm going to have to start thinking about that shit now, right?
Do you feel happier having achieved success, you think, than you would have if you hadn't have had the success? If you had just done the normal life of a 20-year-old and not had that ambition?
I guess we'll never know. I think.
Because you've done heaps.
I think if I had a taste and then it didn't,
yes, one day they're live, a little elf comes and we'll give you one day to live your alternative life.
Alternative life. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I would have been, because if my family dynamic was the same, my parents were who they were, everything was the same, I think I would have hated it.
Yeah, and you're hyper ambitious.
So hyper ambitious, and I expect so much of myself, and I think also, perhaps I guess again because of the family. I mean, I've always had these opportunities to make shit. But let's just say let's just say I did Home and Away, and then after let's just say after Disney, it just stopped and I didn't do anything again. I think I would be so depress.
Really?
Absolutely. I think
Does that happen to people? Like, they do have an away and then they go to a regular job?
Yeah, because a lot of people then are like, I don't want to do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
They tap out.
No. I know some people have just completely tapped out. But
Fair
I
enough,
think it just, I don't know, it's just that thing really that they say about art, and I'm sure you feel that, I don't know if you feel this with comedy, but like, it's the happiest thing, that it just makes you so fucking happy and makes you feel so fulfilled and so wonderful, and being an artist just really is like, I feel so lucky that I am an artist and someone who's really passionate about it, and I just don't want to do anything else. And especially with writing, it's been a really interesting, I feel like it's the first time in my life I have really been really, really, really respected as a woman. And I've had, it's people ask me about my opinions, about, what I think, what I'm making, what stories I want to tell, my perspective on other art. Like, it's the first time I've really, I guess I've been seen as a whole person, opposed to just like an ambitious new talent or something like that. I'm a fully rounded person who has something to say and something to contribute. And so that's been wonderful. And has made me feel a lot more like a human, I guess. So that's been really nice. And it hasn't been as ostracizing, especially, and I think also because it's behind the scenes work. It's not like, it's been good for me to not have immediate online recognition in the same way, or like clout per se, because the work I'm doing is like with production companies and I'm writing things before they've even been gone to air. So that's been awesome, because I've been getting recognition for people who know my craft or know what I'm doing just in the behind the scenes space of acting. And also, like, it's taught me a lot about when I'm, with More Than This, like producing too.
Yeah.
Feeling a lot more grown up and realizing that like there are other avenues. But I don't know, after this year of I haven't like done an acting thing as much. Still realizing how badly I want to be an actor, and how that really is like the thing I still want to continue to do. And I don't think I could just go off and be a writer and never act again.
So this current project that you're working on, I'm not sure if you can speak about it. So you're writing a TV series, is that correct? A movie?
Yeah.
Far out.
Film. So it's a film employed by an Australian production company. It's about Marilyn Monroe's childhood.
Yes.
Her from the Norma Jean ages.
Okay.
I think that's all I can say.
Yeah.
But I went to America for it. It was fucking amazing. I've learnt so much. And it's been really confronting. She's had a really terrible life. And especially writing about like a lot of the abuse she endured as a child, and making the active effort that like, this isn't, I want to tell this story about the kind of young person she was and her attributes before, and not attaching her name to her famous status, and it being a conversation about what women have to go through consistently, and that, she is another woman who became victim to the vicious, Hollywood cycle, but highlighting and showing the joys in her life previous to that, and who she was as a person, and her interests, and not that she just was a sex symbol, also that she was a woman. But that's been, it's been a really confronting journey too, and I feel like I've had to read a lot of articles about a lot of sexual assault and a lot of sexual misconduct, and just how misogyny has just kind of run rampant, and that's been really hard. I think I've always been someone who's educated myself on it, but also that like I like to remain optimistic or diplomatic, and that I don't like to think that the world's all shit or that we're all going to shit, because I just think it's really sad. Like, I'd like to try and find some light and, focus groups in things that you believe in, supportive, and surround yourself in areas in which where, you that you care about, filling yourselves with like-minded people and shit like that. But especially when you're writing a film just about how terrible it is and how terrible it continues to be, I feel like I'm going through a lot of like really lost faith in humanity at the moment, which is a bit shit.
Was she a child actress?
No, she got famous at like 18, 19. Was
okay.
When she like dyed her hair. She was a redhead, strawberry blonde brunette.
So as an actress, were you seeing like corollaries between her experiences and your experiences ever, like in the writing process?
Not in the same like drastic way of obviously the 30s, but I think just the silencing or taken for granted and shit like that, or that she really felt like she didn't have a voice. I feel like I resonate with her just because we're both women, and similar things that have happened in our life, opposed to me like thinking that I look like her, or our experiences have been exactly the same.
Also, just being in the same field, I'd imagine.
Just being in the same field and just like, and it's not even it's just the casual things, or just the, you know, the way that men spoke and writing, or what you hear on set, or that kind of shit. I was just like, yeah, that really hasn't changed. But my most important thing is that I want her to have I'm really happy that I'm writing it, because I am a young woman and in that kind of age range. And I'm really appreciative that the production company have handled it this way and have approached like someone who has a really similar story, and they have given me so much creative liberties and freedom that it has been wonderful to be part of this process. And I also think it probably has been really healing for me in my own trauma, or just like, you know, experience, because I've been able to like rewrite this story, and then also be the voice behind this like important thing, which I think is really important to write about, especially like after Blonde came out. And, you know, like the director's whole thing was, he said this wasn't about, it was never meant to be about Marilyn. It was meant to be about like a person with suicide.
Okay.
Who wanted to.
Yeah, I never saw it.
It's just really.
You didn't like it?
It's just really confronting. And I think I was also talking, like I acknowledge that cinematically I think it's really beautiful, but I don't know why we're still telling these stories. I don't know why we keep showing these people in such vulnerable positions where they're just consistently kicked down and saddened, and like it's hard to watch. You just see her life, like she just so consistently was raped and taken advantage of, and I just don't understand why he, as a male director, thought that was an appropriate piece of art to bring into the world. Like what was the reason? Like we all know what happened to her. There's so many movies on her. Why would you not make that art piece, more uplifting in any way to her, opposed to like it just being so, I felt like as a woman it was just a really derogatory piece, and really didn't explain her or give her any justification or give her any kind of depth. And I think the only reason that I like, it was hard to watch because also factually it was really wrong too. After studying it for so long, he got a lot of the bits wrong.
So just kind of exploitative using the story.
It felt really exploitative, and I think the only reason I was intrigued, cinematically, I thought it was really interesting, and I just appreciated some of his cinematic tropes he used, and also I thought the lead actress was really good. But I think that was her job. I think it was like she was written as an empty character. And I think that just the actress, Anna the actress just filled it. She just was really beautiful and really good. And I don't know, I just am fucking sick of just like seeing women just as these like shells of people who aren't written by these director men. And I don't understand why we're still making them now. It's just so boring, and misogyny has like played our screens for so long. It would be nice if we stopped telling stories in those lights.
What's a good example of a woman on screen who you think is portrayed without misogyny or sexism? Like, what would that look like in what movie? What did you think about Margot Robbie?
Misogyny and sex. I think that's not necessarily the issue though, with misogyny and sexism being shown. I think my issue more so with it is that she wasn't considered a real human. Okay. It was just a story about how she eventually kills herself. Yes. Which isn't even confirmed. And there's other like theories, and I'm not.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's all this stuff about like the Kennedys and I don't know. It's just
Liv's gone conspiratorial.
Well, I think, and also I feel offended because I have studied her all year.
Okay.
Like when I first.
So you had doubt in your mind when you were looking at it.
I don't know. I didn't agree with the story that he portrayed, and that's fine. I'm allowed to have those differences with him. I'm consuming his media, but I don't know. I can also be offended by the art that he released. Yeah. And I am. So I think is my general consensus. What is a positive feminist film that I do like? There's a new play out called Amelia. Well, actually, no, it's been around for a while, but it was in the West End. Okay. And it's about the woman Shakespeare stole some of this woman's work. Okay. And
Shakespeare was really grabbing, because he grabbed that academics work, wasn't it, as well? Yeah,
he was jumping around town. And there's this play just about her and her life called Amelia. And I watched it with my grandmother, actually. Okay. Who was at the art centre. Cried. It was the most incredible piece of writing. It was really about like women allowing to be angry and allowed to be angry, and why we aren't allowed to feel pain. And I'm sorry to make this like such a No,
I'm interested in it.
I just think it's been what I have been, immersing myself with so recently, and like that we are, like, I think that there is a lot of times where if you are angry, you're called fucking crazy, or like, you know, that you're insane, or that you can't control yourself, or that you're like manic, and it's just that we're expressing ourselves. And that was a really powerful piece to see, especially with my grandmother. And you can buy like the script, but it's also like online because it's been filmed. And that was, I think that's really worth seeing because it's really interesting, just on an information kind of standpoint, just of like history with Shakespeare. But I think it's a really, really good, powerful piece. And I think it really helps explains that a lot of women are just frustrated because we're never listened to. And anytime we try to open our mouth, we're told we're crazy. And I think the play was depicted in such a way that you could, I feel like a lot of people would be able to associate themselves with that feeling and really understand why, because it was also set in such an olden day, insanely ridiculous time. But it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of work.
Did you guys compare your experiences of gender? Because obviously with our generation, the ideas of gender and the conventional, I guess, man versus woman is kind of dissipating compared to your grandma's generation. Do you think that like being a woman now, how different would it be to like your grandma's generation? Does it feel like there's the same experience you can latch
really
onto?
Interesting thing too, especially like as you said, you know, with or even like my mum's generation. Like I think you know, gender fluidity and queer rights have really progressed so quickly from like, you know, my mum's generation. Like forget about my grandmother's generation, but like, you know, even I'm gonna start that again. Can you ask me that question again? And I'm gonna give a more succinct answer.
I think I said, do you find that, I guess, your grandmother's experience of gender and your experience of gender, because the way gender fluidity is really at the fore of the culture now, do you think that there's still a common anchor?
I think a lot of it is, I'm very lucky that I have consistently been like raised by really strong women, and that the women that I have surrounded by me are a lot of, we hold very similar core values and beliefs. And, you know, like my mother made a 4-part documentary series on home birth. Like she's an amazing woman.
Damn.
And, you know, speaks a lot about the power within. And then my grandmother, you know, was like, did burlesque in like, you know, was a performer. So they've really had to really hold their own for a long time. So I come from a really like, you know, you stick it to the man and you sit in your own power and you don't like, you make sure no one makes you feel uncomfortable or like unsafe, like you can't talk. So that's wonderful coming from that generation. But I think it's an interesting time now, especially with like, as you were saying, like gender fluidity and like queer rights, which I'm, you know, I'm queer, like I'm pan, and it's really important to me that like everyone is getting the same amount of equality and like everyone is just, if you don't feel like a boy or a girl, you know, I want to support anyone who feels that way. And I think it's really important that we are continuing with that. But I definitely do feel like a woman. And I think because I do really relate to that, I also am really passionate about women's rights as much as I am others. But I think especially when it comes to like succinctly to this per se with this play and the movie that I'm writing, it being about a woman, that has been my really big focal point.
Yeah, well, I guess it's your direct experience.
And after More Than This, which was a really queer forward focused television series, it's been an interesting jump. But I think my end goal this year, I feel like just been really disappointed in the world, I guess. I think
really?
I don't know. I guess I just have just been researching a lot outwardly of like school or university because of writing opposed to acting. I think I've just been with writing, and I really care about writing factually and writing succinctly, and it being honest and truthful and getting lots of opinions and getting lots of other people's voices involved too. Because I think that's how you make I think that's how you should make impactful art. You need lots of people to come on board. So it can be like.
Sometimes I reckon that it feels like the world's not like it's going to shit, but then if you look at statistics, it's actually getting better. Like there's less poverty, there's less assault, there's less.
I guess I get that, but then I also then get scared that I shut myself off too much and I only hang around my friends or my people who have similar views to me.
Okay.
And then we use an example like that fucking dickhead again.
Yes.
Who still says shit like that in Australia.
Yeah.
And then I get really stressed and I go, Like, am I just putting myself in the bubble of my 50, like the 50 people who I probably see on the most regular basis, right? Like, not even close friends, but like that 50 to 100 that, like, you know, I'm pretty consistently communicating and engaging with, who just are relatively like-minded. And I scare myself and I go, am I really, you know, this forward-thinking, really good person who's like really, you know, fighting fights and standing up for what's right? But am I also just then like feeding myself because I'm only in this small, you know, group of people when there are lots of people who aren't educated and aren't thinking that way?
Well, I think that dude
but
was
that's
just
also a thing of opinion as well. Like, I don't want to, like, I think it's a really interesting time to form opinions.
Yes.
Especially, you know, with chronically being online so frequently, it's a time of like, and you do really have to be on a side. The world makes you really go, what side are you on? Who are you fighting for? Who do you hate?
You can just step back, just let it go through.
But that's what I'm saying.
Just dodge it.
I do, but then
you don't have to join a team, you know?
No, but even, and I don't think I outwardly do choose a team.
Yeah.
But I think it's just, it's an emotional turmoil to think about, because you go, okay, well, I might agree with this and not agree with this.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you do have to think about these things. I don't think you can, like now, as you were saying, like what it's like to be a woman in past generations, you kind of can't just be like, yeah, well, I kind of support this and go for this, because people will either question you on whose side you're on, what you've said, who you're standing with. Don't you think? Or do you think?
I think in some like sections of society, but I definitely have some friends who are like, they're super happy and they're just oblivious to the world's problems.
But I guess that upsets me though.
Okay, why does that upset you?
I think probably because I myself am so in it with this specific Marilyn Monroe story, and also like, you know, more than this really mattering to me, like, well, me making more than this, and all the work that's gone on past that, like, you know, it's being shown in schools, and like we've been invited on, you know, we do a lot of like queer safety stuff. So I think because I make things that are like a comment on society or trying to include things, I get frustrated when people are like, oh, well, you know, world's fucked, YOLO, we'll live. I'm like,
but I think you can also just be someone who is like, you're not being affected by those external events, but you're saying that, well, that's selfish. You should be doing things to try and better.
That's not what I'm saying at all. Whoa. I think
you
I talk about it a lot. Yeah, I'm a selfish prick who cares too much about the world. I guess more so my point is most of the conversations I have are political, about someone's standpoint, the ethical measures behind it. Those are
when you're hanging with friends.
Yeah, I feel
really.
Like that's,
you don't just ever like chill out, have a sangria, chat about the weather, or is it always like, let's talk about the geopolitical relations?
I guess it is, but we'll do it in a humorous context.
Yes.
I feel like a lot in the people that I surround myself with, I'm consistently
you need to hang out with some more dumb people.
Ideas.
I've got smart friends and I've got some fun dumb friends, and they're like talking about footy and they don't really care about other stuff. And then
interesting.
You see,
I feel like I'm too stressed out at the moment. I feel like I'm really, the Marilyn thing I think probably has really, but this is what I'm saying. I then feel like this Debbie Downer who's always like, so
at a party, everyone's like, and then you're like, guys, let's talk about.
It's not a fucking house party. I'm at a dance. I'm talking about the footy. I'm just saying, I feel like generally, if I'm sitting down with a wine, I'm going to talk about things that have affected me, or I guess that are upsetting or concerning.
Yeah.
But
yes,
I guess
that.
I guess other people. Yeah, maybe I'm just an asshole.
Maybe
I've fallen into that Melbourne bracket of like white people who just like need to talk about all the problems because we need to feel important.
No, I think that's what I think a lot of people.
I also don't know what to do with this microphone.
No, you're holding it great.
I'm not.
You are. No, I think it's definitely a thing of when you're in your 20s, you want to find
meaning and purpose.
Yes, totally. Because otherwise, a lot of people in voids of meaninglessness, where they just they can't get a grip on something. You know what I will
say though, and this is such a big fucking circle back, but I think working as a kid has forced me. I need to have meaning for everything. Okay, there needs to be like a purpose. I'm doing something. I need to be getting a gain. I need to either be like learning something, or financially gaining something, or gaining experience, or gaining a kid. Like there needs to be like some kind of profit or some kind of journey that I'm doing it for, Do
you have anything in your life where you're just like, this doesn't have any meaning and that's okay? Like you just go and hit a tennis ball or something?
No.
No? Yeah, so life doesn't just go down.
I think that's also such a write-up, but I also, like, as a kid, I would write my own, like, life and pretend my life was a movie.
Really?
And, so I think, like, I've been someone who was romanticizing their life or, like, dramatizing my life so consistently. But I think I'm someone, there needs to be intention with everything. Okay. That's actually what keeps me going, is that I'm a person who has intent and intention, and there's a passion or a drive or a want for something. And it doesn't need to be like serious. Like I think we've had chats where it's just silly shooting the shit, but at least the intention is that it's funny.
Yeah.
Or that there's a story.
Yeah.
I need something.
I love having fun.
Things to happen though.
I think you can have
fun too.
Yes.
But still things need to be happening. Like I can't just, when someone says, oh, do you want to hang out? And then we meet up and then there's no real plan about, we're just fucking walking around the city, or they're like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm going home. I'm going home.
I hate that feeling of spaciness.
So that's what I'm saying. I can't just, and maybe that is also the ADHD, that I just can't sit and be.
You have to have a focused task.
There needs to be something.
Let's get the Sudoku out. Let's get something where we can complete together.
I will bring to hang out with people, or I will go to a place where I know I can talk about the arc. Like I live my life with tidbits of information that I can pass on and tell you something, so that we're sharing or consistently moving.
Yes.
I do feel satisfaction though, but then there's the new task to do. You know?
Okay. So when you finish something, like say when you finish more than this, you're like, all right, we're going to the next thing.
No, I celebrate and sat in that and was like so proud of it. But then even then, like, you know, after it was done, I spoke about how I did it and why I made it and my reasonings for making it. And then I moved on to thinking about the other things. Yeah, and then I went on and like wrote we continued to write season 2. And, you know, now I'm writing and like also I'm writing another project about me and my housemate Celine that I would love for one day to like get taken up or whatever. So I feel like I don't just sit and be sometimes. But I guess I think what I said before, that adds on probably because I was working so consistently at 13.
Yeah.
And so there was just like an end goal, you know?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, I just have never just sat and been. And it makes me sad, like when I am on like especially, you know, now that I'm not working, I'm just having a lazy day because I can't be bothered writing or whatever. I get so upset if I just sit in my bed all day. Like I get upset if I don't just do things.
I think that's normal.
Yeah, I guess it is too.
Like if someone's just hanging out all day, you've done nothing.
But I have that experience also if I'm hanging out with friends though and we haven't done something. If we haven't done something.
So if you guys are lounging about like in the gardens and you're just.
No, that's fine. But we need to like, we need to lounge about and there needs to be things that are, like information needs to be passed with both of us for me to feel fulfilled.
I understand. You can't just have us sit and it's like we're just looking at the sky. It has to be like a meaningful, they've shared something, I've shared something.
I give meaning to everything.
Okay.
Yeah, meaning to everything. And I will find reasons, like I'll write not a pros and cons list, but like if I've decided to do something, I then will like justify to myself and everyone around the reasonings why this is productive or helpful or things that we should be doing.
Do you meditate? Do you do any kind of like grounding?
No.
Still?
Nah. It's pretty obvious that I got ADHD. Has that become apparent in this conversation?
Yeah, man, that's interesting. It's interesting. I reckon
it's probably also that I'm writing such like hard. I mean, I don't know. Also, the things that I write are very like societal, like commentary pieces too. You know, it's not like I'm writing about like mundaneness either. So I guess that probably then my work is always about like pushing or making it uncomfortable or serious or like making it this like pinnacle piece of writing or performance. So
is every actor and actress, is the most scary thing work drying up and just sitting there and being like,
yeah, because then you have to like get another job.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't, you know, like it so is the big fear. And because there are so many actors and so many people who want to act.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really, and I think, I guess I am scared. And I didn't want to admit that because I have been doing a lot of manifesting. I really, like, I'd love to work again and it's okay. And it's fine.
Yes.
And I am so lucky of the career that I have had and will continue to have. But it is, you know, it's a bit of an ego death and it's really hard, especially when like, I think I'm a good actor. Like I think I'm pretty good at my job.
Yeah.
When I'm auditioning for, you know, audition after audition after audition, you just don't get anything. It is really hard to kind of then not think that it's your fault or that you're not a good performer. But I don't know, like I still love acting so much that it doesn't taint it for me. And I just love performing anyway. And I also am, as I said, you know, I'm writing this amazing script and I've got other things on the horizon enough that like, it's okay. It doesn't, I do more creative things. I think if I was just acting and hadn't, like if I hadn't found out that I was pretty good and like could be a successful writer, I probably would be a lot worse off than I am now.
That's a good thing about stand-up, I guess, is that your rejection happens if you do a bad performance. You know, you're kind of through the gate already. Whereas with acting, you can get rejected at the gate and then you don't get an opportunity to perform on set.
No, not at all. And I especially with, you know, COVID, I think ruined for. There's also lots of components. Like you can't work in America unless you have a visa. You know, it's expensive to take people over. Everyone's still getting COVID all the time. You don't know if people you don't know about like people's then where they stand with vaccines and like how that is. I'm vaccinated. I just like to make that clear here.
I'm not. I went to the protest.
Did you?
No.
Oh my God! I tried to go to the Roe v. Wade. I tried to go to the Roe v. Wade, and I got stuck in the anti-vaxxers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I like held my sign up.
Is there a photo of you in the front of the Herald Sun?
No, there's not.
That'd be hilarious.
I was handing up like my body, my fucking choice. I had this huge banner.
Yeah.
And then I just saw someone next to me with like Southern Cross and then like don't put that in our bodies. And I was like, I feel like
maybe, but then we like semantically maybe they're just their signs off. Maybe.
No, I did. Yeah, fully did.
You're
and then
what?
I heard
sign.
like fuck you, Dan Andrews. And I was like, oh, true. Okay, I'm with the wrong crowd. And that was a bit embarrassing.
Being in the wrong protest is a tough one, I think. I remember there was
yeah, and especially because my sign said my body, my fucking choice.
Yeah.
Like that was sending a pretty strong message.
When I had a crush on a girl in first year uni and she's like, come with me to the Invasion Day protests. And I was like, I'd love you, so I'll come down. And then she's like, where are you? I can't see you. And I was in the protest of the protest. Like I was with like...
to like keep it with Invasion
yes.
Day to
yes. And
Did she see you with them?
She saw me with the other whites. I don't think she's like, oh God.
Yeah.
But I switched over. You know, we had a good time.
There you go.
But it is weird when there's two protests fighting one another because you don't know where the meeting is.
Well, I guess that was even more embarrassing because that was like completely different, right? Like one was about anti-vax and the other was like about, you know, Roe v. Wade. And then I got stuck in three separate protests, only one of them being the one that I went to.
Yeah.
Another one was about
what was the other one about?
Oh, it was like domestic like rights for like a country, and then they were like having a big announcement and like singing and stuff.
I think on one day there was those, and then there was an Iran one.
Yeah.
Like some days, like you got to get the
and because they all then like they're all in the city,
they converge.
You confuse us whether. But then I found the other one, and it was nice. Then when I was marching, I felt liberated. Then when I was like the one that I was like wanting to march for, it got a bit complicated there. It was really confusing because I was kind of like, no.
Yeah, I feel like when you start doing stand-up, you're going to be like, all right, the fun time has begun. All right, we can't talk about the Ukraine anymore.
You know the tea I've got too. Like it would be good. I don't know if I'm. I think the thing is, my housemate said this to me. My other housemate Gemma, who is also an actor. She said this wonderful thing. She was like, "I hate the idea of being perceived," and I think that's a really good statement. Like being perceived in a way, in any way, is actually a pretty uncomfortable thought to have, don't you think?
But it's happening all the time. Like it's going to happen on stage.
And it will continue to.
Sometimes I'm on stage and I'll see like a person and they're just like this. And I can see everybody else laughing and they're just like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't get them. I can't get them. I'm trying. I become obsessed with that person.
You really want to like be familiar.
I call them out. I'm like, why aren't you laughing?
It would make me sadder than it would
happy.
Because I think I'd want to be good at it for the sake of the fact that like I've studied comedy and I think I'm relatively funny.
Yes.
But I don't think it would fulfill me as much as, because I guess the thing that I truly, truly love about writing and also acting is that I'm able to convey and tell a story and that story is having an impact. And I feel like yes, I understand that stand-up comedy has an impact, but it would just be like, the impact that I would be having is the insane shit that's happened to me opposed to like the messages that I want to tell.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe midway through I could be like, anyway, guys, I want to talk about the fact that 97% of women are sexually assaulted. What the heck is with that, guys?
That'll be tough. But I mean, you know, the best stand-ups elicit humor from dark topics.
That's true too.
I think last time we did the podcast and then I saw your apartment and I feel like you'd have like, you've got like 7 core stories, which are probably the most unbelievable stories I've ever heard in my life that you could talk about. You know, you could fill an hour with.
That's so true.
Like some of the stories, you have to go into it, but the celebrity dating app stories of people you've matched on there and seen on there. If you told that in a 1-hour show,
you
wouldn't even have to make it.
I'd be an absolute success.
It's funny inherently, you know?
Yeah, and that is so true. But I think it is just that, I think I'm just a little pussy at the fact that, like, I don't know, I think I probably have worked really hard at, like, maintaining this, like, you know, went from, like, was young, then onto TV to, like, now where, like, no one actually knows. And then my TikTok, like, I'm posting, like, once a fucking week on TikTok and no one really knows. I am
Hit it to 3. Go 3.
Mystique. I'm enjoying the mystique, I think.
Okay.
And if I did try the stand-up comedy, I would be letting go of that area.
Holy, yeah, you would, yeah.
So I just don't know if I want to do that or not.
Yeah.
But maybe I do. What if I'd, like, I don't know, put on, like, a specific disguise? Like, we got, like, crazy prosthetics on and I just do, like, this alternate...
That'd be interesting to kind of...
No, but I guess the funny thing is the stories that I have are current to me and
Yeah. You've got a lot of... also, I think just being on Home and Away and having those Channel 7 experiences and the events, even, like... Going to, you know, the Blue movie. Who were those little creatures that you went? Avatar 2. Going to Avatar 2 and seeing...
The little blue movie.
Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Where everybody's blue and they're in a blue world. And you could tell that story on stage and it's already interesting. You know, the oysters, you know, you got stuff. You got gear. But I'm always...
also think...
Yes, here we go.
I also think people are dickheads when they retell stories. Like, and I feel like I've been to all of these... I've had all these...
You might come across too high and mighty.
That's what I'm saying.
If you had a mic and I was
also, like... you know, or I've got that, like, I did it, like...
Guys.
Or I have that story about how, like, I break a phone periodically every year at the end of the year and, like... One of the stories is me, like, I did a backflip when I was on a yacht and my phone fell off. Like, that's such a dickhead thing to say.
That's a tough one.
That's the only time I've ever been on a yacht.
Because people be envious. They'll be like,
off the yacht
they'll be like, why is Liv on the yacht?
That's what I'm saying.
I want to be on the yacht. And they're not listening to the story and they're going, this motherfucker's on a yacht?
This bitch is on a yacht.
Also, like, this person's an avatar. I want to be the avatar premier.
Maybe so, and then people
How do I get on the mailing list?
And then people are just going to start hating me for all of my... Like, it's not my fault. I get these experiences. There's no winning. Ugh.
Do you get other like Australian like celebrity people being on Home and Away, neighbours, people in the limelight? Do they ever just like DM you? Like, do they reach out and say, "Hey, what's up, Liv? It's your boy Whipper."
From Fitzy and Whipper, is that what?
Yeah.
No, Fitzy and Whipper have never hit me up.
Yeah. Do you feel any?
Not really, because I don't think I'm really. Again, like I feel like lockdown, I really took myself out of like that knowing everyone's circle. Like I think Home and Away is such a, once you're in and you know everyone and you have all these connections, and then kind of when you leave again, just because you're not at that same quick pace of like those celebrities who you know are working on like major channels.
Yes.
You're just not on that same kind of crazy work cycle, crazy work party cycle anymore, like social party anymore. So you just do lose those connections.
Yeah.
But also like, I don't know, if I'm not working, I don't really like they don't have anything in common with me because I was a child. Like it's not like I had any friends.
It'd be weird if you were best friends.
You know what I'm saying? Like after I left, it was like, well, we don't really have anything to like chat to her about because she's a fucking kid.
Yeah.
So I don't like. Yeah, I still, you know, we still all follow each other on Instagram, and I definitely still have some mutuals and like reply back to a story every now and again.
Oh, so you reply, be like, keep going, fire emoji, keep doing what you're doing.
That's what I'm doing. I'm like, hey, broski. And then I asked him to, like invest in my crypto scheme. That's how I've been keeping my life alive. Nah, but like, you know, maybe I'll do like a, you know how you can like stories?
Yes.
I didn't know you could do that until recently.
I know, it's cool.
Game changer. Now I don't have to talk to people.
True.
I thought you just had to like reply to the story.
It's just some support.
Yeah, and I love it. I'm like, I appreciate this. I value this and move on.
Yeah.
But I'm not, you know how I text. I'm a shit texter too. So.
It's ad hoc.
Sorry?
It's pretty
it's pretty terrible, hey. It's pretty wild.
No, it's good.
No, it's not. Don't lie to anyone. Good. It's really hard. And that's me actively trying with you. Like I have reminders on my phone like text Ferg back.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is as good as it is.
Yeah, that's pretty that's impressive.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Do you feel, and I always I mean this could be a good wrap up, like I often ask guests, we've been
talking for a while, haven't we?
It's been a while.
We've covered a lot.
We've covered an enormous amount.
Great.
I always ask guests, like, are you happy? Like, do you feel internally good?
Interesting time. I think you've asked me that. I feel like, yes, I do feel good. I feel like my life is really adult at the moment. And I definitely had like I always wanted to be older when I was younger because I was put in all these older situations. And then I now fully feel like an adult. And, like I live with my partner, I own my apartment. Well, I'm paying it off at some point. I will own it.
It'll happen.
It will happen.
Let me know.
I will. I'll throw a house buying paid off mortgage party. It'll
People
be in like
love
45 years when we're all like super old.
Yeah. Cost of living crisis.
Cost of living crisis. Blights.
Come to my house buying party.
I had to top up my Mikey and was pissed about it. But I think I also am going through, as we were saying before, it has been a time of whether it's because of my age, and I think it probably is, I think it's a pretty general developmental thing when you're in your young 20s to try and have answers for everything or talk about it or be angry and feel the things. I totally get that that's someone of my age just doing what we need to do. But I think I have found it really, I'm finding the big, bad, wide world really confronting. And it has been simultaneously amazing to write this art on such a specific part of history, but also really confronting and hard. And I think it's, I don't know, I just have exposed myself to a lot of information but that happens all the time. Like once you research something that's been terrible, you just get really sad about it because it's all that you can think about.
Just put your phone down for 3 days. Have you ever done that? I've got a blocker on my app and I can't check my phone for a while. And it'll just be like a day where I'm on my phone, I feel better. I'm like, whoa, I'm starting to feel
I feel like
hope's coming back.
That, on big... I'm pretty good, if I'm on a day adventure, I'll, leave it at home and then, go for a bike ride, or if I'm going to see friends.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's more the existentialism of it all. And I think especially because it is directly my work and,
yes.
I'm writing about this, young girl being molested, and that's just, really rough to, tell that story.
And you're going to be judged on how well you tell that story.
Exactly. You're going to be judged on how well you tell your story.
And it's already a heavy story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables.
There's a lot riding on it. But I feel like I'm happier than I have been, and I feel like I have worked really hard to stop giving myself excuses for areas of my life where I don't like about myself, or I feel like I haven't worked on enough and that I'm just a bit shit in some areas. I've been acknowledging them and not getting upset at myself and trying to figure out ways that I can change that, which has been nice. Yeah, again, I feel like I'm a fully fledged adult, and I think last time I was here I was talking about how have a lot of in some areas I'm so insanely progressed and mature, and then others I feel really regressed because I just had never been taught or was able to have that experience because I was working full time. And I feel like this year I've really tried to even it all out, so I'm a pretty well-rounded person. Do you think you're a good person?
I'm killing it. It's going to be cool to listen back to this in 10 years. That's what I was thinking with podcasts, and you listen back to I did a podcast with Aj Barker when I was 18. And I sound like a little baby. But at the time, I'm these are the hard-hitting questions.
Jesus Christ. Shut the fuck. Maybe I was taking this so seriously. I'm God.
It's almost been an hour and a half, which might be a new record.
Hooray.
For podcast length. Thanks so much for coming on. Let's meet in a year.
No, it's
it's yearly.
It's a yearly one.
It's almost a year to start.
Well, have you seen Billie Eilish's one?
No.
Oh, with Vanity Fair, she checks in with them every year.
Every year.
Yeah, I should do that with you. We've got to do it at really obscene, obscure, just starts of the year. So I guess I'll have to come back in January, but you just do start and end, bookmark.
Yeah.
And we'll go progressively a 30-minute longer every single time too.
I feel dehydrated now, just doing an hour and a half.
I do too.
Which again, my housemate is a doctor, so he's saving lives right now. But
and he's got an incredible amount of alcohol.
Yeah, has that been and the optics on this? I feel like I'm very sunburnt, and there's a lot of
those are the two things.
And there's a lot of alcohol in my background.
The sunburn and
in the background, so I'm just portraying this is the summer. And he keeps saying
that he has this doctor housemate.
I tell everybody
who's always alcohol. I haven't seen this guy. I don't know who this guy fucking is. I think he lives alone. And I think he stands out on that balcony that you can't see, and he gets himself purposefully burnt and then just buys all this liquor and drinks it himself. No one else lives here.
Olivia Deeble, thanks so much for coming on, and I'll see you in 12 months.